Man.
Oh, I think I lost you.
You know what it is.
Wait. Now you're back.
All right, so if we can cool here with Unveil the Strength. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Just another day in the beautiful Lone Star State.
How is the apocalypse treating you, man?
I think it just depends on where you live. Apocalypse for me isn't so bad, I can still go out and eat. I can do things. I mean, minus concerts and shows. But let's hope that changes.
Well, you're what, in Texas, right?
Yes, sir. I'm in Texas.
Elson's doing that music festival Friday.
Oh, that's right. And I was supposed to look into that, and I forgot.
It's going to be interesting, man, because I guess it's a 2-day gig, or maybe he's playing 2 days in Texas. I don't know. It's him and Saliva, a bunch of other bands. It's kind of a little scary, man. I don't know if New York, I don't think we'd be ready for it yet.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, I hate to see something so political or based on where you live. I mean, I don't think anyone has all the right answers to this thing, but I mean, all the kids in my area went back to school, and there was a portion of parents that were, it's going to be a super spreader event, and we're going to have this, and this. And we're on day 50 of school, and we've maybe had 5 kids get it. And I think that, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I know there's some states, and they open their schools, and they said, we have 150 kids. And I'm like, wow. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason, it's kind of crazy.
My kid's online school, man. He's got 70-something kids in his class.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot for a 4th grade teacher to handle, man.
That is quite a bit, bro. How are you handling everything?
I'm adjusting, I'm going back to the 4th grade apparently, because helping my kid out through this old online schooling and how it works and whatnot.
Right. You learn how to do 20 things to get to 5.
Exactly. I got yelled at the other day because I was like, no, this is how we do math.
Yeah. Right.
I gotta take 18 steps. I was like, oh, wow.
Just to get to 5. Yeah. It's so different. It's so different than when we were kids, man. It was just, hey, you memorize this, and you do that, and that's how it works. Remember. And now it's, well, we have this method where we take this and then we do this, and if you think about it like this, and it's really like, and it's like, wow. I don't know. I can't really wrap my head around it. It hurts.
No, man, I tell them every day, so you're never going to use this.
Right. Let's start a 1st grade class on taxes.
Yeah. Right.
Get something useful in there.
So, man, for you, dude, I see you burning up the charts, dude. Your single is taking off.
Yeah, it's doing all right, man. It's been well received. It's been, and there's so many bands that aren't really releasing a lot right now. They're all kind of teasing about what they're doing next year. And it's interesting to see how everyone's playing the game, so to speak. And, we wanted to release music. We didn't want everyone to think we're dead or not doing anything. We are working away on new material and, promoting what we have. And so we thought it'd be a good time to release this intimate Kill Switch Engage song,
Right.
A little bit different than everyone goes heavy. And we were like, well, if everyone's going in that direction, I want to do something else. I want to give someone else a different take on what's happening. And we just felt that with the timing of everything going on, I mean, it's been a brutal fucking year, man. And we wanted to put something that was kind of, hopefully can give some peace, something you turn the lights off, play the song.
Sure. Now, as far as playing that song on tour, how's that going to work out?
I don't know if that's something we're gonna play on tour. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it'll just depend on, the feedback we get from people, and say, hey, we want to hear this song or whatever. But it's kind of a bit of a departure for us. The rest of the record's pretty heavy, and but we also wanted to do it because we wanted to show that, hey, we do have that ability. We can do that, and we're not a one-dimensional band.
I think it might be a cool little takeaway, after people are moshing for 20, 30 minutes to take a little break and, check out the melodies that you're busting out there for everybody. Serenade the
Yeah,
crowd.
no, 100%, man. And I mean, I grew up on melody. I mean, my family, they were all musicians, and my mom was a country singer, and my brothers, they were they were in a hair metal band, and then they were in a reggae band together. Both of them played together their whole life, and so I grew up with this entirely different perspective of music than metal. I'm kind of the black sheep of the family. They're like, oh, Mark and his heavy metal, and so with those things, I always have this thing where I tell everyone in the band, I'm like, man, I don't care how heavy we make it. We just have to have some melody in there. There has to, for me personally, as a singer,
Right.
I have to have melody. Like, I know I have the ability to get up there and scream and, do a whole record screaming if I want to. And with this band, I really wanted to do something where, we could go for something a bit broader and bigger than that.
Well, I mean, go to the Disturb show, man. You're going to get a couple of hard tracks, and you're going to have them belting out some fucking tunes in between.
Right. And I'm not. And the funny thing is that I try not to make. See, it sounded like I just made rules, but in all honesty, I try not to make rules. If somebody gives me a song and it's heavy and I feel like screaming, I'm gonna scream. I just want to. I try to feel the energy of what's going on and try to convey that with what I want the song to be about, and then just give that energy back to the listener. I think that's really what it's all about.
How do you hold up your voice for that, man? I mean, switching styles.
Um, I've never had a problem with singing and screaming. Um, it's something where, I mean, oh, I'm a big fan of Melissa Cross,
Okay.
and then I'm a big fan of this other guy I listen to, and I can't remember his name. And they're two totally different vocal workouts, but I try to stay on top of it. Uh, Full disclosure, I have not been on top of it during COVID. I'm going to be. I'm starting next week. I'm starting all my vocal routines, and it's something where it's kind of interesting because all these vocal coaches tell you different stuff, and the most important thing that they try to tell you is, listen. No matter what technique you do or you learn to do this stuff, you really have to rest your voice. And so that's why when you meet a lot of singers and they're on tour and they're after show, they're either whispering or they're really resting their voice, because it doesn't matter how great of a singer. I mean, I've seen Chris Cornell day 47 on tour. It's day 47. He's still Chris Cornell and he's killing it, but he's been on tour for 47 fucking days singing that.
Right.
Like, do you have any idea how fucking hard that is? Like, that is no joke, man. So
Sure.
it's all about, as far as voice goes, the biggest thing, it's funny because, I think it's really about diet and your vocal routines and staying on top of it, knowing how you feel when you're singing that night. Like, hey, do I need to play it reserved or do I need to push it? Can I push it a little bit tonight? And if you're not careful, you can go out there and blow your voice out on day 2, and then the rest of the tour is going to be fucking brutal.
I found it funny how you said that musicians sometimes they take a little break with whispering or really not talking when you're singing. I think that's just a good way to pass being a dick. Sorry, saving my voice.
I don't want to fucking talk to you, but I don't want to talk to you, and I have to whisper.
I'd love to.
What was that? What? I can't hear you. Exactly. But yeah, man. I mean, I think I've always been drawn to the the big singers, the Chris Cornells, the Bruce Dickinsons, the Phil Anselmos, these big personality vocalists, and these, and it's like, I like that stuff. I don't know. I don't think we see enough of it. I think we have some singers that are outspoken. That I feel like there's a lot of people in the industry that try to play the gray man. Hey, we just want to blend in, and I don't want to. I'm too afraid to have a personality or have an opinion, or I don't know. I miss those crazy rock stars, I guess. But is that, I don't know, is that dead? Maybe that time is gone.
Yeah. I mean, these days, dude, I think everyone's, as far as the younger generation goes, they're all swaying towards hip hop, man, unfortunately. I mean,
Yeah, those guys are the new rock stars. It's funny because you see these hip hop guys and they do these videos, and they go rent a Ferrari, and they wear like 20 gold chains, and they're this larger than life thing, right? And kids eat it up. And then you have rock stars, and they're just like, I'm mowing my lawn today.
yeah,
Selling lemonade with my kid today at 3 p.m. Stop by.
Well, I got a kick out of that Little Dicky rapper when he showed how everything's rented, or he tried to get everything for free when he showed it in the video. All that shit's mostly just a lie. You know what I mean?
No, it's totally. It's the, I've said it many times. It's the rapper's mentality, which is, this larger than life thing going on when, it's not necessarily true, but, the average listener can look at that and go, wow, who is this guy? Whoa, what's going on with him? Look at this. And, you know, um, that's how it works. I don't know. For that genre of music, it works. In our genre of music, people post pictures of bands that have empty speaker cabinets behind stage and throw them under the bus for it. It's like,
Right.
that's what our genre does.
One thing I think that this generation doesn't understand is that being a musician may be one of the best jobs in the world, but it's still a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, I wake up every day and I come in this room and I just say to myself, how do I grow this band? What do I have to learn today? Because I have this mentality that no one's going to come down and help me, I guess is what I've told myself. I'm like, you know what? I think there's a lot of musicians out there that go, you know what? If I only do this, then this will happen for me. Or if I get this far, this force of this thing is going to come down and take me to this other place. And maybe that is the case. But for me, it's really a matter of, I can't, I don't want to get into that sort of mentality. If somebody says, hey, how do we get our views on our YouTube videos up? I'm going to learn how to do that. If somebody says, hey, how do you engage fans? I'm not afraid to sign up for a webinar and learn how to engage fans. And that's what you have to do as a musician now. You really do. You can't sit there and just say, hey, here's my music, it sounds cool, like me. People want to know who you are now. People want to see you on video. People want to know what you like. People want to know what you're into besides music. It's really due to multimedia and the availability of video and audio and all of these things. People really want to see what you're about.
Oh, 100%, man. I mean, it's different from when we were young. I could remember getting a flyer and be like, oh, shit, this is a new band right here. Or going to a show and getting a mixtape from somebody. I remember I went and seen Korn when I was a kid, man. I was like 15, 16.
Right.
Fred Durst was walking around the crowd and actually handing out
cassette tapes.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I got one of those. I went to that tour. That's hilarious, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good shit, man.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I mean, it's completely different now. Completely different. I mean, now people have the ability to check out your music with a click of a button. But because of that, at the same time, they can check out anybody's music at the click of a button. So why should they check out yours? And
right.
that's what happens. It's there's a really good saying I like, which is you can hope and dream and wish your entire life just to get beaten by someone that works harder than you.
Some good shit right there, man, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, but that's the truth, isn't it? I mean, that's really, the deal. So I try to come up here every day, and if I can get one new fan or five new fans or 10, man, I consider that as better than yesterday. If one person asks me about the music we're doing or what's going on, that's a W. I'm celebrating that victory every day.
Well, now's the time, man. I mean, there ain't shit going on for anybody. There's no new TV shows, movies. There ain't shit going on. Luckily, musicians are still putting out tracks.
Have you
And
have you noticed the new movies that have been put out on like Netflix and Amazon? Have you noticed that they've been really fucking awful?
yeah, man, it's complete shit. It's like the
Like
bottom
the
of the barrel.
endings are just like you get to the ending and you're like, what?
I personally think COVID
Why?
hit, and they were just like, you know what? Fuck it. We only got a couple of days to shoot this. Let's just end it right here.
Right. 100%. 100%. It's
So,
it's really we're in a really weird time. Like I'll tell you what, the term hindsight 2020 is going to take on an entirely new meaning after this year. Fucking period.
it's funny that you said that about movies and shit, because lately I just thought maybe I just become an asshole with this lockdown and not talking to people and whatnot. I'm like, everything sucks these days. But no, it's true.
No, it is true, man. I mean, the movies have it's just been disappointing. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
going on. So yeah, I don't know. Uh, but yeah, man, I mean, our guitar player lives in London, so we can't even live stream his show.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he checks it every once in a while. He goes and checks to see if he can leave the country, and he's all no, or for him it's all no, nah, mate. that's a, that's what he says, and I'm like, okay, well, as soon as that happens, then we'll talk about. We get asked that a lot. A lot of people are like, hey, are you opposed to live streaming, and will you live stream? And the answer is sure, absolutely, but we can't. We really can't. I mean, I would love to put together a show with a bigger band and open up for them and live stream it, and just I mean, fuck, man. At some point, you kind of got to let some of the details go and just make some music. You got to do something. If you're gonna fall forward, right?
You can always put a nice a laggy Zoom video where your guys are all in different places and shit.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll go over really well. I'm sure that'll be just epic.
Great way to get new fans, man. Look at this.
Right. Check us out. We're all playing at different times together.
Fuck, man. Speaking of different times, London? What are they? 12 hours, some shit like that? Difference from us?
I think they're 6 ahead of me. I'm Central. But yeah, I just talked to him today. I try to talk to my band every day if I can. I try to touch base and make sure they're doing all right. And I'm lucky to be in a band with people I enjoy talking to. I know most fans don't know, but contrary to popular belief, some bands may or may not get along as well as you think they do. Pro tip of the day.
It's shocking. I don't know best friends out there.
but I feel lucky enough to be able to to talk to my guys and make sure they're good, and try to see what they're up to, and if there's any new music ideas and what we need to do, or honestly, my biggest thing right now is I'm just trying to get all my guys to make social media content. I'm like, look, man, we need to be coming up with some fun stuff for people to. I mean, at the end of the day, we're musicians, but we're also entertainers. People come to watch you, to not think about what's going on.
Oh, 100%, dude. I mean,
So
there's no great escape out there. Like what we were saying, movies suck. There's nothing going on. I spend fucking so many hours a day with this thing here in my hand, just looking at Facebook for anything to keep.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to be left of this when the dust settles? I mean, I've heard some people say there's going to be an estimated 30% of venues could possibly be gone.
Oh, I could see that happening. 100%. I mean, I'm in New York here, and one of our biggest venues that kind of fucked over a lot of people. They were taking the pre-sales and shit that got canceled, and they're not giving out refunds. Their excuse was, "We had to
Damn.
pay our bills, man. We'll give you a comp ticket to a show. Cross your fingers, 2021." You know what I mean?
Wow. 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 That's so tough, man.
Yeah, it's gonna
That's
be
so
fucked up.
tough.
I was talking with another band earlier, and it's just gonna be different out there when you actually get to go back on the road. Like I'm in New York. If you come here from I don't know 40 something states, you got a lockdown for 2 weeks. So no one's gonna fucking play here for a long time.
Right. Right. And I know some states are doing shows. I think Tennessee is open for business. I think Ohio maybe open for business. Missouri. There's a couple of states in the Midwest that are people are talking about playing shows there, and they're playing right now, and it's interesting. I mean, um, I mean, I guess it really just depends on if you're of the mindset of, is this going to go away if we have this thing happen, or is this something that's going to be continually going on, that at some point we just have to say, hey, we have to live with this and make the best with what we got. And once again, I don't know. I don't know what that answer is, because I piss all my friends off with the COVID conversation because, you know, and I'll say it, I'll take a stance on it, but the problem is that my stance doesn't agree with anyone.
Okay.
This is a virus,
Right.
and you can't build herd immunity to a virus because another one will just mutate and it'll happen again. It's the same reason why a vaccine won't work either, because it's a virus and it will mutate, and it's just like the flu. Every year you get your flu shot, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and it's usually last year's strain, and there were how many strains of flu in a year. So is this something that's going to be put into the universe that's like, hey, this really sucks, but we have to live with this? Or is it something where the world shuts down forever?
Well, I mean, think about the Spanish flu, man. I mean, that lasted what, 2, 3 years, something like that, before it finally died off.
Right, right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know. I think it's so hard for people in positions of authority to look at the average person and say, I don't know, doing the best we can. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Everybody wants you to have an answer, to be like, yeah, that's my favorite Democrat. He knows what's going on. Or, yeah, that's my favorite Republican. He has all the answers to make me feel good about what's going on. And the reality is, I don't think most of these guys know any of it, because the truth is we haven't dealt with anything like this since what you said. I think there was something in the 60s around Woodstock that was going around, and then before that was the Spanish flu. So it's been quite a while since we've had to really, and think about how much of a bigger population we have now compared to then.
Oh,
you
for
know
sure.
and and so it's really interesting. And look, if any of you out there are watching, feel free to hit me up and educate me. If you're like, hey, Mark, what you said, check this out, read this article. I'm all about learning. I do not like making anyone think I have everything figured out, because I don't. But I'm just basing my opinions off of my life experience, as we kind of all do, right? So for my life experience, sometimes I've gotten the flu shot and I still get sick. Sometimes I've not taken the flu shot and I didn't get sick at all. So I'm just basing that off of that opinion is based off of my experience. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a vocalist in Unveil the Strength.
You know why they called it the Spanish flu?
Why is that?
Because back then, it was just like now, like all the countries were getting all over the place, but Spain was the only one reporting on it. Everyone else said, shut the don't report on this, let it be. And Spain was the
Wow.
only one
Wow.
giving out the news. So everyone was hearing, deaths in Spain, sickness in Spain, because it's the only news. So it got the Spanish flu because they're the only ones reporting on it.
Isn't it interesting how we've changed our perspective on information?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, during that time, nobody wants the information. And here we are now. And the question is, What information do we believe?
Yeah. Every news outlet out there, you got fucking four more that's going to argue and say,
Oh man, you can read. It's funny. I always talk about this. I say every year you read these health magazines, and it says you can read one year, and it'll say the egg yolk is good for you. Eat the egg yolk. It has all these fats and these proteins that you need. And then you can read one the following year, and it'll say don't eat the egg yolk. It leads to heart disease and this and that. And so it's funny. It really is. We live in quite an interesting time.
for being in a band, it's got to be a real clusterfuck right now, though. I mean, you're sitting there waiting to know when you can actually start making a living again. I mean, touring is where most of the money comes in these days.
Right, right. Well, you know what? I read something today that's even more interesting than that. So right now, let's think about it. It's like in order to make minimum wage on Spotify, I think you have to have between 8 and 10 million streams a year as a solo artist. That's not factoring in the rest of your band, maybe your management, maybe your label. It's not factoring in any of that. That's just to make minimum wage as a solo artist, entrepreneur, independent, 7 to 10 million streams, right? So it's not a whole lot of money, right? And then you've got this other factor of touring. And well, that's kind of gone.
Right.
And then now everyone has switched to streaming. And I just read an article today that Herman Lee from Dragon Force was kicked off of Twitch because he was flagged for playing his own fucking music.
Jesus Christ.
So my the real question is, you're right. What are artists supposed to fucking do? What do we do? I mean, it's a valid point right now, which, there's lots of bands that, that are in the top 10%. They're doing great. They're not gonna, they can wait this out until it happens, until it's over and things get, picked up again. But for the bands that are, mid-level, low-level, starting out bands like myself, it is a valid question. What do you do? And I think I'm an optimist. I think, I like to believe that we survived grunge, metal survived disco.
Right.
I think that it will be okay. I just think, it's gonna suck for a minute. It's really gonna suck. And I think it's really gonna be a gut check for a lot of bands to say, hey, it's gonna make a lot of guys go, hey, do we really want to do this?
Well, there's going to be a lot of guys. Are they able to continue to do it, man? I mean, there's going to be
money right. And once again, a lot of bands out there, they're paid players in bands. A lot of people don't know how bands work. There's some guys where, hey, that bass player might be a guy that gets paid per gig, and right now there's no gigs. So what do you do? What do you do? How do you? I mean, I guess he files for unemployment or whatnot. But it's interesting because I live in Austin, and there's a lot of working musicians here, and they're not in necessarily original bands, but they're the bands, the guys that go and they play every weekend and they play cover songs or they play acoustic. And I think those are the guys that are really, really hurting right now. Touring bands are hurting, but you're talking about the guy who's, hey man, I make my rent by playing, 3 nights a week at this bar doing my acoustic set, and now that's done.
Right.
So it's one of those things where the only thing I can say is that the good thing is I hope that people come together. I hope that somehow through all of this, the bands, different managers, things of different levels, venues, I hope someone starts something that brings us all together and really helps us make healthy, proactive choices about the future of this industry. I mean, we have all of these things happening to rock and metal bands and live music. And I read a lot. And I read something else today that said of the 5 past award shows, and it's not anything new or shocking, but of the 5 past award shows in the rock category, not one actual rock or metal band was fucking nominated.
I read the same thing, man. They just announced it was like Billboard or some shit. It was all rap bands.
So we're getting this, terrible, you know, hand of cards dealt to us. And then to read something like that, to read the Herman Lee thing, yeah, it's eye opening to say the least. Is it discouraging? I don't know. I think it's just a matter of how resilient are you.
See, what I'm curious to see is how many artists out there right now are finding another means of income. And by the
Right.
time touring starts back up, fuck, man, they might have a good 9 to 5 gig that they're going to have to weigh out. Did I really
Yep.
make that much going on the road before, or should I just be happy with what I'm fucking doing?
No, I agree with you, man. It's gonna be a hard decision. I can't speak for anyone, but I mean, it's like, my bass player Matt, he has a tattoo shop in Reno, and that's what he does, and even his business, uh, even his business, it was really hard. They had to do some things where they battled with the city for a minute, and because they wanted to keep everything closed down.
Right.
And he had to prove that, hey, my tattoo shop is more sterile than this doctor's office, and they're doing facial reconstruction surgery. And that was a legitimate conversation he had to have. And now they're up and they're running, and they're doing great. But I mean, it's, man, I mean, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Oh, it's fucking crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy out there. And every
Yeah.
day things keep on getting changed, so you never know what to expect next.
You don't. So Matt's got his business, and the drummer, he also runs a small business in up in Denver, and I mean, to some degree, I feel like our band is kind of already in a position where we were already kind of set up for something like this. We're already set up in a position where there's a substantial, all of us have some sort of income happening. So it's kind of unique. I would consider us lucky, but not all bands I know are in that position, and it's difficult. It's difficult to see.
Now, you dropped an album last year, right? You put all the time, effort, and money into it. You're supposed to be out there touring and doing your thing, getting out there. The world fucking shuts down. Are you writing music now, still during this, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, everyone in the band has a DAW, and basically right now is we're just piecing together ideas. Guitar player Rich will write a riff and he'll send it to me, and then maybe I'll do some structure changes to it and I'll send it back. And like technology is so crazy. Like I can program drums and do all that stuff and write keyboards and send it back and say, hey, how does this make you feel? And then he'll be like, oh, that's cool. And then he'll do something else, and then we'll kind of ping pong it for a bit until we get a rough song structure idea, and then we'll just keep moving. And the way that I work when I write songs is basically, I don't really have a set way. Like sometimes a song might be written really fast and then boom, it happens. Sometimes you might write a song and work it and work it and work it, and then at the very end you're just like, this is a pile of shit. And then you just fucking put it on the back burner and move on to something else. It's kind of like Vegas. It's like, for me, it's like knowing when to walk away. You know what I mean? Like you get a song and then you're like boom, 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 and then sometimes you put a song on a back burner and you hear it a couple months, maybe a year later, and you're like, dude, I know what we can do to make this like this, or what if we do this? And I like the journey and the process of writing a song. And I've met some people that write songs and they're like, I wrote the song, this is exactly the way it is, we're not changing it, don't fucking touch it, boom, 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 boom. And you can do that too. There's no right or wrong answer for me, as long as it's just a great song. The things I like is I like big vocal hooks, I like fucking amazing guitar solos, and I like for the songs to drive. Maybe throw in a breakdown here and there,
Right, right.
and there you go. That's kind of it. We'll get to a point, and then we'll send it to Matt, and then we'll send it to Tim, and everyone will just kind of put their feelers on it, and you know, hey, this is the vibe I got from this, and then the last thing I do is the vocals. But that's not necessarily true. Sometimes I'll hear something and I'll write a chorus first and then build a song around it, which is usually what I prefer to do, is write the catchiest part of the song and then structure it out. But sometimes you just get a badass guitar riff and you're like, dude, let's work around this. It's really just finding something cool and unique, and just keep moving, you know.
Now, during times like this, is it even feasible to put out an actual album? Aren't you better off just releasing a single every month or a couple of weeks or whatever?
You know, it's interesting that you bring this up, because I usually tell people that, you know, I feel like there's kind of a different standard for a band that's been around for a minute versus a new band. A band that's been around for a minute, I feel like you can put out a record and people will go, okay, boom, this band's been around for, you know, 5-10 years, and we know who they are, and okay, they've got a fan base and a following, and they drop their record and they do okay. But if you're a new band, I feel like it's a bit of a dance. Like, people are trying to get to know you and get to know what you're about. And the approach that we're taking right now is we're releasing one song at a time, and we're doing it every couple of months, and then we're doing basically like a whole journey about the song when we release it, you know. And then we just are basically releasing singles right now. And it's crazy because I get a portion of people that are constantly asking me, hey, when are you releasing a record? When are you releasing a record? And I don't necessarily know if that exists anymore for a new band. I just don't know. I don't know. I feel like because I don't have that following, the record, after 2 weeks, everyone would be like, Unveil the who? Where did they go? But if I release one song at a time, then every couple of months, you're hearing about Unveil the Strength again. And then after a while, you go, hey, who are these guys? You know, because I feel like music fans need to hear about you from more than one source, and hear about you more than once before they kind of validate you, so to speak. You know, it's metal fans are tough to win over, but once you win them over, they're the most loyal fans of any genre.
Right, right. Now, with that structure, man, like putting out the singles the way you do, towards the end, when you get a handful of songs together, and these all worked out well, then you can throw it together and call that the album, right?
We're not opposed. All of our songs that we have, we recorded it once, like a record, but we chose to put them out as a single, and we're doing this way until the very end. And once we release all 10 of the tracks, then what we're going to do is we're going to find out if people want it as a record and we get enough pre-orders, we'll completely put it out as a record and everyone can have it. Because I would love to do a vinyl run. That's my. Yeah. I really like that. I really love it when bands do vinyl. And some people out there hate it because they go, oh, the sound quality isn't as good, as you can't do this. And it's like, I don't know. There's just something nostalgic about it. And, you know, if you're a music fan in a world of things that you can't collect anymore because they're gone, it kind of gives people, you know, the ability to fill that void. You know, like we don't get liners and CDs or tapes anymore. And I feel like when you give someone a vinyl, it gives them that piece of something, you know?
Right, for sure. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of kids aren't going to know what the fuck to do with it, but put it on their wall, but it's still cool. Now, when you release a song like the one you just did, fans start to hear other tracks that you do. Are they like, what the fuck? I thought I was going to go for like this nice, easygoing guys, and they turn out they rock.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of the fun of it to me. I'm like, that's what I mean. I hate being pigeonholed or put into a category. I mean, my ringtone on my phone is Sir Mix-a-Lot. You know, like when people call me, they hear, I like big butts and I cannot lie. And they look at me and they're all like, what? And I'm all like, that's right. I like big butts. I can't lie. That's just, you know, words to live by.
I fucking seen him last summer, man.
Oh yeah, dude. He's still out there handling it, dude.
It was like one of those throw all these old has-beens together and let them play like one or two songs.
Yeah.
Actually the best, you know what I mean? You're not gonna put up with all the bullshit. You're just like play the hit and Let MC Hammer on the stage next.
Yeah, dude, that's have you seen the new commercial with MC Hammer?
No,
Oh, dude, look up MC Hammer's new commercial
I'll have to
when you
check
get a
it.
chance. You're gonna laugh your ass off. It's good.
Definitely
It's
check it.
good.
It's crazy, man. How when you say commercials, you can look it up. It's mostly what you got to do now. I mean, all my shit's fucking recorded, and I pay for the privilege of not having to watch commercials anymore.
Right, right.
See something
It's
on Hulu, and I'm like, fucking commercial. The fuck? Don't I pay the extra money to skip that shit?
right. It's I don't know, man. These technology companies. I mean, you can't fight it. You know, you just kind of got to go with it. And I was talking with someone today. What's that documentary going around right now about all the technology companies and how they can basically manipulate you and the information that you receive and you get? And it's interesting, man. It's really makes you think.
You ever discuss a product with somebody, regardless of what it is, and then maybe an hour later pick up your phone and there's just a fucking Facebook ad for the shit you were just talking about with somebody?
I'll put it to you this way. I watched that documentary about Facebook and Twitter and Google and all these companies about how they manipulate information. It was a documentary on Netflix. I picked up my iPhone after watching the show and got an advertisement for a product called Winston. And what this product does is prevents these companies from spying on you in your home. Like, that's the irony. That's the biggest irony I've ever. It was just like, it's crazy, man. I mean, um, I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, there's no entity and there's no organization to really know or check on any company that makes an app that's on your phone that says, am I really being listened to by app XYZ? Is my phone camera being turned on by app XYZ? And they can tell you everything that they want to tell you about the app and say, oh, we don't do that stuff. But I mean, just like what you said, how many times has that happened to you where, they're listening to you? And even though you can go to the app and turn off your microphone, who's really checking that? Who's really holding them accountable? If that's really happening, no one is. It's all what they're telling you. And all of us are like, okay, my microphone's turned off. They're not listening. But we really, truly don't have a way to really know that for a fact. And
I
I
asked
think as time goes on, we become more complicit in these sort of things. This is another show.
I asked Alexa on a daily basis if she's a spy, so see what's up with her. So what's next for you, man? What's the next single? What's the next anything for you guys?
Right now, we're working on just kind of growing our fan base right now. We want to prep for 2021. We have a bunch of songs we're going to release and two full production music videos that we worked on right before COVID happened. Actually, we were getting ready to release it, and then boom. I mean, the COVID thing really threw us off track for sure. But yeah, we're going to be growing our fan base, releasing some songs, releasing some videos, and trying to figure out this game called touring and what is going to be available for us, and try to get out there. We were slated to play 2 festivals this past year, and we couldn't do it. It didn't happen because of the whole pandemic and everything else. And so we're hoping this year or next year, more opportunities will be available. But like you said, it's going to be interesting. How many bands are going to be left? How many venues are going to be left? How much touring can be done? What are going to be the protocols and procedures for touring? I don't know.
I mean, well, think about it now. I mean, there's our shows going around. Like I even mentioned the show in your area in 2 days that you didn't even know about. You know what I mean?
No, I didn't, and it's strange that isn't getting talked about a lot. And I almost wonder if the metal community as a whole is almost frowning upon it right now. I don't know. It's so hard because you see some fans and it's interesting because you've got and once again, it's kind of political. Even the fan base within metal, it's a little political because you've got one half of the fans and they're like, man, I would drag my balls through a mile of broken glass to hear Lamb of God play through a walkie-talkie. And then you've got the other half of people that are, how dare you go to a show and expose people and cause them to get sick? And I don't know what the answer is.
It's crazy now. I mean, especially with the media. I mean, anybody who's played a show so far this year, they just shit all over them. They never say, like, congratulations for fucking moving forward or doing something. They're like, how fucking dare you play a show? And
Yeah,
people
and I feel like the coverage is very selective. Like you've got people on airplanes with masks on, but you can't go to a show. You've got people protesting in the streets without wearing masks, and that's totally okay. But you can't go to a show. And I guess for me, I just don't like double standards. I fucking hate double standards. If you want to have a standard for everyone, I'm all about it. Cool. Sign me the fuck up. But double standards, you don't get a pass. If you really give a shit, then you just give a shit. And if you don't, like, you can't I'm not a fan of cherry picking things in life for what you want. I mean, it just drives me crazy.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
So for those watching, man, where do they go to follow up on you guys? See what's next? Listen to this single that came out.
If you guys want to check us out, you can go to www.unveilthestrength.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Twitter. Google us. We're on YouTube. We are everywhere that social media is. Say hi. Say something. Call me a bad word. Curse at me. I don't care. Talk dirty. But by all means, it's COVID. Do something.
All right, perfect, man. I really appreciate the time. It's been great talking with you, and I can't wait to see what comes next for you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it, man. And I'll talk to you real soon.
All right, man, definitely. Take care.
Thanks, bud.